determine.
It's always been that
does
way.
that. You just can't lean on it. Or whoever leans on it, you got to stick with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to keep my hands off. All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, we've had a little bit of a hiatus because of the holidays and the new year and all the craziness that's been going on, but we're back with Last Call, and we're happy to be joined by executive producer at Free the People, Matt Battaglia. How you doing, Matt?
I'm okay, considering.
Considering.
I made it down here in one piece. It was like walking around a ghost town. For context, we're filming this on, what's today?
It's Friday.
The Friday after all the riots and... Are we calling it insurrection?
I don't know if I want to go as far as insurrection, but I'm comfortable with riots.
Yeah, I feel like insurrection's a little bit overstating what was.
Yeah.
I don't think they qualify as insurrection.
No,
they didn't. They weren't in good enough shape. You got to be like badass to be an insurrection.
Yeah, you can't be running around with a block tattoo and animal that you certainly didn't kill yourself on your head.
Touche. That is exactly. There's a standard to be an insurrection.
Yeah,
we didn't meet it.
So.
Well, we'll talk about that, but before we do, I brought a nice festive bottle of scotch to celebrate our return to the screen.
Wonderful.
And so let's have some of that.
Very excited. Do not be shy.
This is a Glenmorangie finished in sherry casks.
Oh.
I think it's aged for 12 years in bourbon casks for sweetness, and then given a little bit of sherry finish.
Oh, fancy.
Oh,
I hope I like it. If I don't, I won't say
Are you
anything.
picky with your liquors, or?
No, not terribly.
Okay.
I can't drink tequila anymore. That's really the only thing.
Like straight? I mean, like tequila shots?
Just tequila, if it's in something, it sets me off.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
I drink too much of it.
Well, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers to the new year.
To the end of the world, or the new year, however you see it. It feels like everything is a little bit falling apart around us.
That is delicious, though.
I find the city feels a little bit apocalyptic these days.
Oh, that's really good. That's very easy to drink, actually.
It is very smooth. You get a little bit of that sherry, I guess.
Oh, it's delicious. Really good.
Excellent choice, Logan.
Thank you. I really picked it because it was one of the more affordable single malts that I could find in my local store. But it worked out.
I like that.
Probably was a bargain buy then, or good value for your dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It certainly pairs well with the National Guard and all the much too late fencing that was put up.
Yeah, insane fencing. I took photos. I was driving by it.
I'm going to repeat the joke I made because I think it's worthy of being repeated. It bears repeating. Is that I saw a tweet that said they were putting up a 7-foot high unscalable wall around the Capitol. And I saw a photo of it, and it was a chain link fence. And I was like, this is like everything Trump calls a wall ends up just being a chain link fence.
It's just a fence.
Definitely scalable. I used to scale them all the time as a kid.
Yeah. You had to jump in, break into someplace. You just jump a fence. It is weird walking around. I mean, I live in Philadelphia, so we had some obviously there were a lot of protests and riots that occurred, and if you saw a GameStop being looted in Philadelphia, that's a block away from where I live.
Oh, dang!
Yeah.
So you were right there.
We're and so like anytime on TV, that's my Walmart. But not that I don't like Walmart. But
neither here nor there.
But anyways, it is eerie again walking around in a place that's sort of in this post stuff's gone down, and now we're just gonna all be like super quiet. It's just eerie, and I don't. Yeah. It's I don't know. I guess we have to talk about it, right?
I think we have to at least acknowledge it. Yeah, talk about it a little bit.
It's impossible not to.
It's kind of one of the crazier things I've seen in my lifetime in D.C. is like people actually breaking down the doors of the Capitol building and showing up on the House floor. Is really, really insane, and it kind of feels like something out of a banana republic or a third world country, where you have these just crazy people busting up the government buildings. Not that I have any particular love for government buildings, but
no, I don't like them.
I think it escalated to a point which I find indefensible.
Yeah.
As of yesterday,
I totally agree.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and I don't know what we can really say about it, but it's. I know you have some thoughts on sort of the mood of the nation, and I think people have been cooped up for so long. People have been under lockdown for so long. There's a powder keg, and it's been waiting to blow, and we saw it blow this summer with the BLM riots and everything, and we see it blow now with these riots, and I definitely want to be unequivocal about calling both of them riots, because I think it's important to be consistent and not have a double standard. I've seen a lot of my friends on the left be like, oh, look at these evil Republicans who are rioting, but they had no problem with people burning down gas stations and 7-Elevens and stuff this summer. And I've seen a lot of people I know on the right who have said that this is great and righteous and good, and the things this summer were awful. And I think both of them are terrible. I abhor violence. I think it's not only an immoral thing to do, but it's a strategic mistake, because it's just going to give the government more authority to crack down on dissent and freedom of speech and things like that, especially now that we're going to have a House, a Senate, and a presidency that are all controlled by the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said there. I guess the thing that irks me and the thing that bothers me more, and I don't even like particularly like large groups of protests. I don't like groups generally.
I agree with that. You lose something in the mob.
Yeah, I don't care for it. So I've always been uncomfortable with large gatherings of people for whatever, unless if it's a concert. I mean, if Springsteen's up front, different story. But I guess the thing that struck me as different between what occurred on Wednesday, was it Wednesday?
Yes.
On Wednesday versus even some of the so what happened over the summer, there were obviously, massive riots. I mean, all sorts of places that nearby got looted, and for months, you drive around and I'd occasionally forget, and you walk up to a building and it's like, oh crap, it's all plywooded, or we still don't have any ATMs in our neighborhood because people went around with dynamite and blew them up. But all that being said, there was at some point at somewhere some actual principle being expressed by at least 5 people, right? Like there was a small protest element that actually sort of made sense, and there is a reasonable expectation for some criminal justice reform in this country. Do I think any of what happened this summer moved that ball forward? No, I don't think it did, and it might have very well set it back. The thing that bothers me with what happened Wednesday, it's not even the storming of the Capitol building, because I think, as we've said, the building doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't particularly. I find the government to, I don't know how. I don't really respect DC as a thing. However, what bothers me more is that it was a subsection of people, and another thing that I think we can argue about is everyone likes to jump on their take machines and say we are no better than this, and it's like, well, no, I don't know who you think you are, but I wasn't there. I'm not casting my lot in with those folks. That's not me. I don't think that's representative of. That's still a small fraction of people that were rioting the other day. But what bothers me more about the whole thing is the entire thing was executed under false pretenses. I mean, the whole basis of it was essentially that somehow, some way, Trump is still going to become president at the end of this month, that he is going to be reelected. And that's simply untrue, and it's simply not going to happen, and it's false. And so all of these people who showed up, and not all of them broke into the Capitol, and I'm sure some of them were probably peaceful, but people broke into the Capitol, and their ostensible reason for doing so is because they believe that somehow Trump is going to be reelected president. And they've been egged on by Trump himself, the various components of sort of right-wing media, varying members of the Senate and Congress, i.e. notorious jerk Ted Cruz. I'll say it, whatever. But so all of these people have promised them something that they knew that they would never be able to deliver on. And so what do you expect to happen? It's going to explode in violence, and especially when you've had a year where no one's had any outlets. There's no concerts. Sports are, congratulations on the Buffalo Bills.
Thank you. Very excited for tomorrow.
But you don't get to jump through tables at a Bills tailgate.
I miss my tables. So,
that outlet, the sports outlet, while it's sort of great to have football, but it's not the same. And so you've shut off all these cultural outlets that I think people have had for frustration. Bars and sporting events and all sorts of and concerts, all these things, they're all shut off. And so what is the one shared, and this is what I think we were talking about before we started recording, is what's the one shared culture that we have, culture being a very loose term, it's this political bullshit. And so, well, okay, this is, if people are going to fixate on it. and it's going to explode.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. One of the things I would say about that is I want to be careful about kind of the incitement charges that we make about either the media or Trump and stuff, because I don't know, personally, I sort of have a little bit of a problem with the idea of incitement, because I think people are responsible for their own actions.
Oh, absolutely.
If you break a window, if you break down a door, if you kill somebody, that's on you. You can't say, well, he said something that made me want to do it. And like, I fully agree that Trump has been ridiculously irresponsible and that he's been totally unhelpful, and his like fake apologies have been really bad. His yeah, you should all go home and be peaceful, but they stole the election from me and you should be really mad. Yeah. But you should all go home and be peaceful, but they stole the election from me. Really bad. I have nothing good to say about that. But like, yeah, the people who did it are the ones we should be mad at.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the media also has been terrible in this regard. But again, it's individual responsibility is important to me.
For sure. It's just, I guess the thing is, and I don't want to give excuses because I agree with you, people take actions and those are their actions.
Yeah.
However, there's been a climate that has been cultivated, and I think in the void of any other sort of cultural outlets, and it's been, okay, well, this is our sport now. Here's the teams, red, blue, and your team lost you lost the Super Bowl, and next year's not coming.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things you're getting at, and we talked about this before, is kind of the absence of water cooler moments, kind of this shared culture of where it used to be where we'd all watch the same television, we'd all watch the same movies, we'd all listen to the same music, and we could talk about it. And now it's become so fractured, which I don't think is entirely a bad thing, because it gives people more choice and there's more opportunities for artists to have their work shown. But it's so fractured now and fragmented that there's no one thing that we can all rally around the water cooler and say, did you see that last night? That was amazing. Let's talk about that. It's all, the only thing that we have in common is politics. And partially this is the fault of the 24-hour news networks that talk about politics all the time. Partially it's the fault of social media. But yeah, people are just fixated on that one thing, and that's all they can think about, and that's the only thing we can talk about to each other that we're all experiencing in real time.
And it's the only show that you can watch no matter what device you have. I mean, think about it, right? Like, I don't have all we've got for streaming services is the Amazon Prime, which I'm canceling once that's up because I don't like Amazon.
Free shipping.
Yeah, but I'm trying
local?
not to. I'm trying to. Yeah, because
I respect that.
Because you think about it, who's, this is another.
Yeah. Don't want to take you down a rabbit
metaphor, but like if you we watched It's a Wonderful Life, over Christmas,
we watched it too. Yeah, we're on Amazon Prime.
Amazon is Potter right now. I mean, everyone else is selling because they're not allowed to operate, and Potter, Amazon is gonna buy up everything.
Yeah, but Potter's the good guy in that movie.
No, he's not.
Fault, but I like the take.
False.
It's an interesting take.
It's a nice hot take.
Pottersville had a great kind of hopping nightlife. They had a lot going on.
Pottersville had strip clubs and bars,
casinos, gambling.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, those are all good things. They should exist.
I mean, I don't know if you've been around any casinos, but usually, and I mean, I think Trump could attest to this, but Atlantic City's not a great place to be.
The problem with the only thing Potter did wrong is he stole the $8,000 from Uncle Billy. Everything else he did was right. He was trying to industrialize and bring bring it into the future.
We should have had this conversation over Christmas.
Yeah, this is a rabbit hole.
It's a rabbit
I love
hole.
Potter.
I'm not going to go down because I have in my mind, I'm like, say it. I'm like, no, hold back.
But anyways, like, the sort of, this table. The political show is the only thing that everyone's watching. I mean, remember Game of Thrones? Like, no one...
That united us, though.
It did.
I didn't watch it, but
everyone hated the finale, and then guess what? There's nothing coming back.
There have been a few things like that. Like, I think Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, maybe House of Cards. This was a few years back now, but House of Cards, was a while ago. Everybody was talking about that.
The Tiger King, everyone watched for like a minute.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, though. It's all, like, mind-numbing TV. It's almost, like, I think about the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
You can go to a game on a Sunday in the stadium.
And there's a communal thing.
And I don't care the guy I'm high-fiving next to me, who he votes for, what he thinks about free trade or fair trade, or does he hate or love Donald Trump. It's our Bills, our community, our city. So I never lived in Buffalo. Both my parents are from that area, my cousins, my aunts, my grandparents, so I'm very attached to it through familial bonds. But I've been to plenty of Bills games, and it's a very the whole city, because it's kind of a dying city, bonds around that, and it keeps them But there's so many other communal things that other areas have that are that important.
But they've all been shut down.
Yeah.
And so that outlet is not. It's not.
What binds us together anymore?
I got nothing. Even like you go hang out.
Doesn't Springsteen have a song about that? The ties that bind.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
That's the name of the song. But even like the new the Springsteen released album out last year. It was I really enjoyed it.
A squirrel?
Holy crap.
That's way too big to be a squirrel. I think it felt like a dog running across
the tour. Like that's the thing that you look for, though.
Yeah.
Is like you want to go see shows.
Well, yeah, music is another good example because there's not even radio anymore. Like we used to, you hear the number one hit. It's on every radio station. You hear it all the time. There's no number one hits anymore that everyone hears.
Right, and I mean, I'm okay. I don't know that I want to listen to what's actually the number one hit right now. But,
fair enough.
But you think about like concerts. Again, it's another one of those experiences where you go and everyone there has one thing in common. They like the music that's playing, and like. That's what you get to talk about. One of the, I met my wife at a Southside Johnny concert. I mean, like there is something about all of these sort of, and if even think about, you're also a Catholic. I'm a Catholic. Yeah. Going to church, like there's something that you got, and like all these communal things that are haven't been happening in the same way anymore. Even just going to like a coffee shop or the bar, you have like the regulars and
oh sure, yeah, I haven't been getting together with any of the normal groups that we used to do bar trivia. We used to have my regular bar that I would go to. It's all closed down. DC has closed down.
The bar that you went to is gone, right?
Oh, it came back briefly, but then they shut down indoor dining again.
But I thought that
the one you went to?
The bar I did trivia at is gone forever. Like the other bar I used to go to was back briefly, but now they've shut down indoor dining again. So I don't know.
So I mean. I don't know, but I do think all these things contribute to this atmosphere that we feel like that we're under, and I feel like it's all contributed more to this extreme sort of polarized separation between the extreme factions of our sort of
why
life.
These people still believe that the election was stolen. They still do.
And like
how did we get there?
Well, and the problem is, like, if you ask me, like, gut check, like, what you think, I'd be like, yeah, there's definitely fraud. Mail-in voting is definitely wrought with fraud, but, like, it's never going to get proven.
Yeah.
One way or another, you will never be able to produce enough proof to say there isn't fraud, and you'd also never be able to find the proof to say, yes, there is fraud. I mean, we're watching the news, and someone just says, well, yeah, that 10,000 votes that were found in a dumpster in Pennsylvania. It's like, is that true? Like, did they find votes in a dumpster?
We don't know. This is the thing.
It's hard to prove a negative. Prove they didn't find 10,000 votes.
Right.
Prove they didn't steal the election.
And the other thing is, I'm sure you can find 50 articles telling you that they did find them. But
the other problem is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because, like, I know people thought after the November election, everyone was like, well, it's all rigged, it's all stolen, there's no point in even bothering to vote.
Right.
And then they had the Georgia runoffs, and the Democrats won both of those. And no one thought the Democrats were going to win both of those because the Republicans were way up in November. But, I mean, a big part of that is a lot of Republicans said, I'm not going to bother to go out and vote because there's no point because it's rigged.
Right.
And then the Democrats win, defying expectations, and everyone's like, oh, see, I was right, it was rigged.
It's like you might not have went.
Yeah, you might not have gone to vote. That might be why. So it kind of feeds on itself in that sense.
Well, and I also believe that, and this is the sort of, I think the wrong political calculus, but who knows, I don't like making predictions, but like that the sort of Ted Cruz, I guess, being the sort of lightning rod of this like...
Josh Hawley, too. Don't let
Josh
him
Hawley, sorry, yeah. Him as well.
No, he's going to run for president, and I want to get him now.
Right. So they're leading this movement of like, oh, we're going to throw the electors back. I don't believe they're obviously doing the cynical calculus of like we must appeal to the sort of the Trump base. I don't think that those are people who followed Trump. They're personality people. I don't know that they're not gonna go to Ted in the same way. Like that's not
no.
Josh Hawley. It's not gonna be. At least I don't believe that that's a thing that'll happen. And it sucks because it's going to drag a lot of other people down, and it's sad to see what's happened to people who have defined their entire life now by this, and I know that might be hypocritical since considering the space that we all work in, but like, I don't believe that we are doing capital P politics anymore, or electoral
Well, it's a big
politics.
problem with the cult of personality in general, where you have a larger-than-life figure like Trump, who everyone starts to worship as a kind of messiah, and then, like, it doesn't work out, and no one's willing to let it go. No one can let go to it because they're so emotionally invested in one person. And, like, it should be about ideas, not people, you know? And it's just that's when you have one person who's like, it's all about me. Everybody flock to me. I'm the cult leader. You know, do what I would say. It's hard to break that. It's hard to get that to be let go of.
Yeah, and I just I feel bad for people that we've reached this place where people feel like they don't have agency over their lives, that they're not respected or treated fairly, or you know. I think there are a lot of legitimate gripes that people can have, but I also feel like we live too much of our lives within what the internet says our life is, and not actually being present in our actual physical life anymore.
I also can't imagine, to that point, there's two things.
Yeah.
You said living our life through the internet, but also thinking, I feel like people live their lives in 4-year increments now.
Yeah.
Based on who's running for president, who's going to be president. I was like, that'd be a real
Which is insane.
terrible way to get caught up in. Your life will go by really fast and miserably.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll never be happy. And the other, it's, I mean, what is the thing that does, how drastically, I mean, you have to take sort of all the COVID stuff as its own sort of element, but like, I can't say that my life, and I think that most people would say that your life isn't drastically different under Obama or Trump, barring changes that you yourself made. I mean, I can't imagine.
My tax return went up a little bit. That's the one thing I can point to.
But like,
other than that,
how big of a difference does that make in your life?
It made me feel good when the direct deposit hit, but I don't have a nicer car. I still have the same car.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's not like it's changing your fiscal status.
Yeah, no, not at all.
People are both putting all of their hopes for solutions into the presidency and the government, and they're also blaming all their problems on the presidency and the government. And I guess both of those things are foolish and wrong.
I guess the issue is that what is the thing that they're looking to have fixed?
I don't think they're looking to have something fixed. I'm going to go into psychology here for a minute.
Okay.
This is a hot take, and you can tell me I'm wrong.
No.
I think human nature, all of us, we want a scapegoat. Mm-hmm. We look around at all the mistakes we've made and the consequences of mistakes, and it's really hard to go and actually reflect and say, man, I self-inflicted a lot of wounds on myself to get me where I am, whether that's my debt, my credit score, the house I'm not living in, whatever. And if I can find something that I can blame that's black and white, and it's also outside of my control, I can excuse everything. Like, well, that's true. The president ruined everything for me, or whatever, or the new world order is ruining monetary policy, and therefore I'm in debt. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's totally fair.
Totally right. People are frustrated. They don't like their lives. They don't feel fulfilled for a variety of reasons. And they say, well, they look around. They say, who can I blame for this? Whose fault is it? Well, it's Trump, or it's the Democrats, or it's the Jews, or like whatever you come up with.
Right.
You know, you come up with some scapegoat and say
something you
it must be their fault, and then you don't have to take responsibility for your own life.
Which is so, I don't know.
I think we're all drawn to it. I think it's like an innate human nature or something that's just ingrained in all of us. We all sit down and think about our own lives. We can find an example of it, whether it's some of it is a lot smaller, thankfully, and others it's a lot bigger.
Right. And it just it's sad. Like
I think
I don't know, like I feel bad for people that this is, and it's not just what happened on Wednesday. It's also it's the whole of last year where people and even the past 4 years under Trump, where so many people feel like their life is sort of out of their control, and it's like it's really not.
Yeah.
The federal government is much too big, and it does a lot of things that it shouldn't do, and the debt is a problem, and our involvement in foreign wars are a big issue. But I mean, the unfortunate, weird, awful thing about it is, frankly, okay, we're involved in way too many foreign affairs. Well, guess what? We do still have an entire volunteer. Our military is volunteer-based, right? There isn't a draft. Anyone who's there signed up for whether they're, due to means or whatever. But like, we were just talking with Congressman Chip Roy, and he's like, it's like 0.15% of the American population is even in the military. So this was a tangent, but I guess my point is that all these big issues that people seem to put all this stock into, I don't know that it affects as many people as they believe that it does.
I think a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people can effectively ignore most of what the federal government does if they just don't pay attention to it. Like I was saying this the other day on Wednesday, I had all my friends from out of town texting me and they were saying, "Are you okay? Are you safe?" Which is great. I appreciate that. But I was like, in my neighborhood, which is in D.C., it's within the borders of the Capitol. It's technically on East Capitol Hill. I would not have even known anything was happening if I hadn't turned on the television or got it on the internet, because I heard one police siren in my neighborhood and that's it. I got the curfew notice, so I guess I would have known that. But apart from that, like, I could completely ignore what happened and be totally fine. And I think that's true for a lot of people, for a lot of what the government does, that they get so worked up about and get so, really feel like it's a personal thing for them. Right. And I sympathize and appreciate the people who, they're upset about the injustice and they're upset about things that the government does. And I feel the same way a lot of the time too. But you can't make it be your whole life, because you'll go insane. Yeah. You'll go insane like the Q people.